And to get a B in SSCE, I had to start Form 1 math from Form 3. I had to get a personal teacher to teach me from the first day of the syllabus. I started doing that Form 3 second year to be able to write my SSC and get a B. So if I hadn't done that, I'm sure I would have gotten an F. But that's how bad the math thing problem is for me. Thankfully, I've gotten out of it a bit. At least I was able to rewrite my papers in math. So hopefully I'll graduate soon. But the issue of information is more important to how do we apply it. And the problem with most of us, we've gone through the academic system and they've poured a lot of information on us. So we know the theory, we know all of yes, what we're supposed to, what the theory is, but we never answer the question of how or why. Now, that takes me back to home and how we're socialized. In most African homes, children don't ask questions. When you ask a question, they answer you with, because I said so. So, mommy, why? Because I said so. Why must I sit down and strap myself? Because I said so. So I'm having a serious struggle right now with the Strap a Child campaign because a group of friends and myself have decided that there's a big problem with children not getting strapped in. You drive, you see them hanging, and the parents are strapped in, but the children are hanging at the back. And when something happens, children get hurt first. But in my car, every morning is a struggle. Because my children, my son is 5, my daughter is 3, and they can talk. They can also think. So they don't understand why some months ago, mommy allowed us to stand in the middle, and now she's saying we should strap. So this morning, I strapped them in, and then at some point I realized my daughter was in the middle of the car. I said, Joy, could you remove the seat belt? Her response, mommy, it's not a seat belt, it's a strap. And as if that has anything to do with anything. I said, okay, yes, it's a strap. Can you please strap yourself? No, but I'm going to school. Her thinking is we had taken the 10 to school. So she's almost on the way out anyway. So why am I telling her to strap? So we had to get into the conversation. But 30 years ago, maybe in the same situation I was in, if I had been told, strap yourself, you have been strap yourself on pitch. Simple, no question asked. Eat your food or beat you. But now, we can't do that anymore. Because our children are more, I don't know what happened. I think women in tech came and politics. But all of the kids are so enlightened and strong, and they have a mind of their own, and they want to ask questions. So, if we were not trained that way to ask questions, we have to cultivate the attitude of asking questions. That's what brings about entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs are asking, why can't we do this any different? Why do we have to wait in line to get food when we could do it? You can send a text message, or do it mobile, or send an email, or get a pickup. And that's how problems are solved. Okay, so asking questions, and that also helps us apply the information we know. So as much as we're gathering all this information, we want to be able to apply it. Now the issue of applications also what sets you apart from everybody else in the organization. So you know that you did research in school, you did a long essay. Chances are, hopefully, we didn't outsource it to anybody or pay a consultant to do it for you. So you did it yourself, you did your data analysis, you know how to run it, you did whether you use SPSS or R or simple Excel, you did it yourself. And you finish school with a research-based degree or a master's degree. And you come into the work environment. And you're supposed to carry out a simple research. But hello, because you never thought about it as this is something I would use at work. You didn't really grasp the fundamentals of it. The other person who knows it and who was able to use it and knows that, okay, so this makes sense. And all of this I learned in school makes sense. Is able to apply it to work. Presents a very nice presentation of how many people come into the office, how many are male, how many are female. email how many bought, how many didn't buy, how many do we need to follow up on, and because of that, they look like they're really, really smart. But they just use information a different way. So two things I really, really want to leave you with is manage the perception of who you are, but let the reality of who you are match the perception you're trying to project. And hopefully, if you focus on that a lot, you should be able to take advantage of all of the wonderful opportunities out there. But specifically to the ladies, young ladies, one of the biggest issues is how we carry our femininity into the workplace. So it's a very male-dominated world anyway. Apart from the fact that some industries have a lot of women, some still do have lots of men. So in my industry, there are lots of women. Good. But challenge number one. You're a woman, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a sister at home. And then at work, you want to be a sister, a mother. That's a problem. Because every time you project that, oh, you're the carer at work, and you're trying to make sure that all the guys have had lunch, or they've had breakfast, or your boss has tea, they never really think about you as the person who can take charge of this business when the time comes to take charge. Because you don't have any intellectual discussions with them. And those opportunities that have intellectual discussions will not fall in your lap. You have to create them. One of the biggest opportunities I had was that most mornings, my boss at the time used to come in really early. And most mornings, when I got into work, he was there. He used to do something very big to me at the time. He always gave me a book. And every time I finished reading a book, I had to discuss the book with him and tell him about it. And these were good books. So books from Robin Sharma, books like that. I read The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, The Leader Without Title, The Greatness Guide. And these are all books I read as a national service person. But reading those books and having those discussions with him gave me the opportunity to show how my mind worked. And every time I saw an issue or a challenge around, I could go to him and say, I've noticed this. Can we try ABCD as a possible solution? And that helped project the perception of who I was in a much better way. So, I'm not saying don't make coffee, don't make tea, but ensure that you're projecting your capacity beyond just being our sister and our mother and my friend's wife or something else like that. Because that limits you. I won't go into the whole how you show up at work parts. But another big issue is every time we use something about being a woman as an excuse, we close up access to opportunities. So the biggest thing for women is all of the things that, unfortunately, Joshua, you have to listen to this. But all of the things, hormonal stuff, the days you don't feel like showing up, oh, I don't want to get up today, I want to sleep in. In the real world, those things can't happen. You really have to find a place deep down in your soul that pulls you out of your bed when you don't feel like going, and go. Because for every time you call in and say, oh, I have cramps, I can't show up today, there's a guy in your office who never has cramps, or never has a sick child, or never has to do any of, doesn't have to throw up, doesn't have to spit, doesn't feel any of those things. And he's just working. So I see that women are in a more difficult situation, so we need to put in 200% than the men. But it's just like being in school. And I started the master's program still with 2 children. And you never know when a child is going to be sick. My daughter was sick on the day I had my first exam. First semester, first exam. She was sick. Sunday, whole day sick. Monday, sick in hospital. We left hospital at 11 o'clock. My paper was at 1:30. So let's just say I hadn't studied, I didn't know anything about the paper, and I was waiting to study on Sunday nights. I would have failed. Thankfully, it was internet business, it was marketing, core marketing, something I do, something I understand, and I had been reading, so I didn't have too much of a challenge. But that's how much the challenge is for us, and why we must put in 200% of our best every time. So yes, you have a bad day, the days you feel like I just drag myself out, I don't want to make up, I don't want to wear my earrings, I'm having a bad day today. But most times that puts us at a disadvantage. So think about it that way, that also that because of you, another woman does not get the opportunity. Because then the perception is, oh yes, and I hear this all the time. You want to hire a young woman because she's going to get pregnant and go maternity leave for 3 months. But don't worry, very soon we'll get 6 months maternity. I'm going to champion it. So that's an issue. But think about it that way as I need to put in my 200% best because all these other stereotypes and things that people already have in their minds. I went into an African country last year. I won't say when. But in that culture, it didn't matter who you were as a woman, the man was always the boss. So I went with a colleague of mine who was a junior colleague. And even at the airport, the gentleman who met us was willing to carry his bags and leave me to carry my bag. So every time when it happened, he said, oh, please take Madame's bag. I said, okay, take Madame's bag. We got to the car, he opened the door for my male colleague and allowed me to open the door myself. No problem. We go to a restaurant. Of course, I'm the senior colleague on the sales trip. I have the money. I'm supposed to be paying the bills. The bill comes, they hand it over to the guy. And then I'm like, why are you giving the bill to him? Oh, he's the man. He's paying. This is not a husband and wife situation. This is a work senior colleague, junior colleague situation. But that's how stereotypes can work. And there's really no point in getting worked up about it and getting upset and screaming at them. Sometimes they never really change it. So I focus a lot on those situations that are within my culture. Knowing what the culture is, knowing what the limitations would be in that environment, and ensuring that you work the best you can to project yourself in the best way. So these are a few things I would just want you to think about as you consider the many opportunities out there. And hopefully, with the right attitude, taking advantage of the right information, applying it to every situation, making sure that you project yourself in the best way. By all means, pay attention to what your brand is out there. Because with technology, everybody can find you. When's the last time you were talking about you? It's actually yes. Now I have a peculiar situation of people smile at me and I'm not sure. Am I know them? Have I met them? I just smile back. Yeah. So that's the safest thing. You smile back and wave nicely. Okay. So yeah, social media has opened us up to the world. It also means that just because that we're already global. Somebody in India, when I started Sales 101, someone in India called a friend of mine and said, are you seeing what's going on Petra's wall? Like, India? I didn't even know I had any friends in India. But yeah, that's how much the world is opening up to us. So Joshua can be in Ghana and be doing business with somebody such as Petra in Canada. And he doesn't have to even travel there. He can be hired by a firm in Australia. You don't have to fly there. I've gotten calls from companies in strange European countries talking about they want to come into Ghana and they're looking for someone to do X, Y, Z. So there are things like that. And it's important that you project yourself in a way that you become globally relevant as well. Because the marketplace for opportunities is not just in Ghana any longer. In the same way, when there's an opportunity here and talent can be found here, companies look outside. So just as much as we want to be global, we need to also understand that because the world is open, we're not competing any longer with the 500 other people we came out of school from. We're competing with thousands of other people all over the world. So immediately my son gets into class 1 at 6. There are millions of children in class 1 elsewhere. We have to make sure that it's at the same level with, you can do the same things in numeracy, literacy, all of those things, but at least be above average. Thankfully, he'll be above. But that's how much competition there is in the world. But even when there's competition, there's also the idea that you must maintain some amount of uniqueness about yourself. So find that unique thing about you that makes you different from everybody else. It can be something very little, something very insignificant to other people, not noticeable, but yet makes you different. And ensure that everything that you do has the mark of Joshua on it, or Helen on it, or Mary on it. So that when you're not in the space of where you're working, someone always misses you. Now, there's a difference between being missed and holding the company to ransom. You must always work in a way that when you're not there, you know that, oh, Petra was here, would have been done this way. But you also work in a way that you're passing on information, and passing on leadership, and passing on legacy. So that it's not because you left and the company collapsed, but you've been able to train and pass and let other people also lead. And by sharing, I think you basically become greater than who we started off as. And that's why I love to teach. So I realize that every time I talk about something, it makes more sense to me. I understand it better. So I hope the things I've said make sense to you. They will let you think a lot about what's out there and what you can do. And I will see you at the top. Okay. Hello. I'm Petra, and you are Dominic, Alberta, Helen, Suleiman. Nice to meet you. I didn't know you were in our meeting. Thank you for joining us. So, we have a few minutes for questions, comments. Anyone have anything to say, anything to contribute? I have a question. Yes, ma'am. So we're talking about taking opportunity. I want to know, like, practically, how do I know that this is an opportunity that I have to take? Does it always have to be related to promotion as well? Probably it's not. I don't think it always has to be like there's a vacancy, like so you have to fill it to be promoted where you are. But how do you identify different kind of opportunities, either at your workplace or in an organization you find yourself in? That's my challenge. One of the best ways, maybe the only way, is spotting problems. So, here's a dicey one. Spotting problems, but really just sitting down and looking at the environment from where you work, where you live, where you are, your country, wherever, and looking and seeing where are the areas where something can be done different or better. Now, outside of promotion, one of the things I have experienced is taking up more responsibility. And because you take up more responsibility, you get exposed to the capacity within you to do more. You get the opportunity to learn new areas of the business. And that also positions you for maybe a promotion later on, or even an opportunity outside of your organization. So where, for instance, you have maybe you're in the marketing team, and marketing is done a particular way, and no one has thought about doing it online or mobile, and you go and say, hey, we can actually do it this other way. Can we create that as a work and a task that we can sort out? And you become maybe the social media manager or the internet online manager. It wasn't there. So it's really about asking yourself or looking around you and saying, how can we do something better? How can we make a change? One of the things is not being too concerned takes the credit. Because in most situations, we're very focused on, so how do I do this so I can look like I'm the winner, I'm the champion, I'm the bulldozer. And then we forget that so this is going to help the business look better. It's going to help the business grow. So if, for instance, you're in a situation where you have a boss, you don't like horrible bosses 1 and 2. You're like, okay, I'm going to keep this idea, I'm not going to say anything about it. And when I get the opportunity, when I'm in front of the board, I'll say it and I'll look like very good. There are times where you never get the opportunity. And then the business suffers because of that. So by all means, look around, see what's there that can be done differently. And those are opportunities that you can take advantage of.
I'm trying to manage what you said about brand. Brands for the promises they will accomplish. It's a fine dynasty because, as you did say, a brand is a projection of what you might also intend to achieve. So, how do you strike the right balance to know or trying to actually match up the brand with the policies that you give out, and when to hype the brand to meet them through expectations you want for the brand, because those two components are fused with the brand. You cannot decouple them. There should be a promises that you can meet, and there should be promises that you are expecting or you are listening to meet. So how do you try the product?
Products that do well are products that meets the brand promise and exceed the customer expectations. Those are products that we said we would deliver 1 foot of hamburger, Subway, and someone went and measured it and it was less than a foot. This is a real life case. The Subway is a US brand. They said we'll give you a foot, so 12 inches. And the customer measured it and it was 11 inches. And it was a case because they put it on social media, it was everywhere. So products that do well, or brands that do well, meet the promise or even exceed it. And then the customer says, oh wow, I'm going back. I had an experience today where there's a food vendor who's been advertising, call us, deliver. It took them an hour and 30 minutes to deliver my food. I was almost dying. And I didn't go and rant about it because I felt that, okay, let me have a conversation with the owner and talk to her and everything. And it's really, so 1 hour after my order, the guy called me and said, oh, madam, did you order bamboo? And I said, no, I ordered something else. I think I mentioned what it is, you know, so I'm not going to say. And so this is 1.5 hours. And the brand promise, the projection that I've seen, and everybody's talking about it and taking pictures and saying it's so good, is totally different from what I actually experienced. I'll try it again because I really like the person who knows the business and I wanted to succeed because she's a woman. But the problem is where you promise something that maybe you don't have the capacity to meet the promise, or something goes wrong, then your customer is not satisfied. One of failures, when you fail, you promise something and you couldn't achieve it, once in a while, depending on how you communicate it to your customers, communicate it to the world, it's a bit acceptable. But every time the person interacts with the brand and there's a failure, it's an issue. It's just like how we have a very hard measuring line for people, religious leaders, versus the measuring line we have for celebrities. So when you hear that a religious leader has done a sex tape, you're like, what? You know, but when you hear Tiffany, who did a sex tape recently, somebody like, you know, any of those, just up to it again. It's a PR gimmick. They're trying to get popular. That's what you expect. You don't expect that from a religious person. But both of them are human beings. So they all have the capacity to fail. Or we've put one on a very high pedestal, we've left one that, okay, it's normal for where they are. So sometimes service failures happen. How it's communicated, and really, if the religious leader came out and said, I'm really sorry, and he cried and said, devil, the devil, I'm very sorry. And he went through the process of getting forgiveness, and his wife came on TV with him and held his hand and said, oh, I trust him, like Bill Clinton and Hillary, and I'm committed to this marriage. Everybody, we remember what Clinton did, but we still love him. You know, so that's how it is. I feel that the brand promise is very, very important. What you want to be, like the ideal of where you want to get to is important, but you must have show a tangible path of getting there. It shouldn't be that you said that, okay, we're going to build, we're going to give you ice cold water every day. When you work in Ghana and you live in Ghana, you know the winter situation, you don't have a generator. How are you going to achieve that promise? So there has to be a tangible plan in the business, in the individual, as our case is, to achieve that projection.
I get you, but I still have slight difficulty because what did they say? It's quite friendly to our products. It's very difficult to do so for a service or a personality.
I sell a service, and services are very difficult to sell, and that's because service failures are almost inevitable. Because of how services are naturally, the things outside of the control of you, the person doing it, the intangible aspects of it that you can't control. So we see that service failures are always going to be there. How you recover from the service is the issue. So you failed, what did you do? And the individual failed, what did you do? Now with personal brands, I feel that it's important that as much as we project the ideal of who we are, one of the things I try to do, and if you check my profile, on my blog, wherever, I haven't started saying I'm a business leader. And every time someone refers to me as a business leader, I tell them emerging business leader. Because I recognize that, yes, I've done this, I've been in Delta for 9 years, I've worked all together plus all of my internships and everything 12 years. I don't think that makes me a business leader. Okay, so that's my assessment of my value and my place in life. So it's important that we have a very good assessment of who we are and what we are, and then we don't project ourselves too big or too small. Too small is the problem in Ghana. We're never too big. Too small is the main problem. So we're hiding all the time. You're welcome, Joshua. Any other questions, contributions?
So when you work in an industry or a place whereby the levels of access to your boss or your head or whoever it is that's in charge of the organization is minimal, you are able to do the interaction as you were able to, during your international service. With my place, you have several levels of getting to see the government. And you may not even, in your whole period working there, ever have the opportunity to interact one-on-one with the government. So what you do is what is actually best. However, presenting new ideas is always thrown away, especially when it has to do with the mingling of an officer, someone who has a lower grade in terms of the hierarchy of the institution, with somebody who is at the top in terms of decision making. And when it comes to any planning, you need to have all those people kind of interact. So, like the case that happened today, I suggested, oh, having the heads the way forward. I'm like, it can never happen, you know. But since I closed today, that's what I've been putting in my head, dancing around the issue. Because no matter how you go around it, there has to be some form of interaction. And the paper way in which we are doing it now is going to cause us to feel with anyone as we have done with the old one. So yes, that is my problem today. But that is something also that I am just putting forward here. When you have several levels of interaction and there are bureaucracies in terms of how you are able to put forward issues or solutions to certain things which everybody recognizes as a problem, but the way forward in providing a solution is not open to everybody in terms of acceptance, that presents a new challenge.
So what do you do?
And that is what I am. It's on the back of my mind.
So how do you solve that? That's a tough situation.
Yes.
And
I guess in a couple of months' time,
you know,
I should be able to come up. No, I must come up with something that you know how to.
So I get this feedback every time I speak to a group, and I speak a lot about entrepreneurship. So taking initiative within the group, running your role as your own business. And the feedback I get, forgive me that I'm sitting now, the feedback that I get a lot is that this doesn't work in the public sector. So you can't just say, okay, I'm a new employee, I found a problem, I'm going to solve it, I'm on fire. You have to go through the lines of reports and go, and sometimes all of that reporting kills your initiative. Yeah. So yes, I get that feedback a lot, but I also ask a lot, so what can you do?
Oh, you can do something. I have not given up on the form of interaction, because from the point of recommendation I have made, it's going to bring about that interaction without it being so obvious. Okay. So in a way, the heads will be forced to interact if they want to take it serious.
I like that. And I like that because at the point when you tell yourself that, okay, I'm giving up, is where you're going to start getting really, really frustrated. So whatever the challenge is, you turn it around, you get stuck, turn it the other way, you get stuck. You just have to keep at it, keep hitting it. And it's tough sometimes. I've worked in sales since 2008, and selling is one of the most difficult things in life. Selling a service is even more difficult because you have nothing to show. Sometimes you take brochures, people have the perception, they've experienced this, if they've had challenges, and they come back and tell you that, oh, no, I'm not going to go. You learn rejection very quickly. So having to go to one place and them telling you, no, I'm not going to buy, don't come here again, they shut the door. But you still have to do 10 other sales calls every day. Okay. So those are the challenges. But what sets you apart is that's resolve, and I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep at it. Even when you're failing, just keep at it. And this is not to sound like we're just motivating you and trying to buy you advice through. This past week, I got an award, an excellence award from my global office. I was in a conference this week. It was a sales award. And when I was called, I was like, wow, this is the most difficult year. The most difficult year for Ghana, traveling. Last year was Ebola. Everything was just so tough. The US was to the point where there was a lot of pressure on the government to stop flights into Africa, because they just thought that Africa is one country and everybody has Ebola. So there was nobody coming in, and it was very, very tough. But I just said to myself that, okay, I'm just going to keep at what I'm doing. And you keep at it every week or every day. You look at your sales reports, and it's not doing very well. You go depressed. I'm not about to get fired. But just keeping at it, and continuing on the strategy, changing it a bit. And I think that at the end of the day, what matters is that you're able to tell yourself that I've done my best, it really does produce results eventually. There are times where I know people who nobody ever recognizes their efforts until they're long gone from the business. Oh, so she did this. It's too late. So yeah, so especially in public sector where there's a code of ethics and then there's the reporting lines, it's more difficult. I lead a team of 15 and it's an open office. So I don't have a door. When you have a problem, come to me, it's open. You don't have to knock or anything. It's my cubicle. So if you have a suggestion, it's there. But I recognize that in other organizations, it's not as flat as that. Yeah, and we live in Africa too, where positions and titles are very important. Because when I tell people, oh, you can call me Petra, I'm like, yeah. So it's what it is.
To ask about what you just said, I think we are socialized in a certain way, and so you as an entrepreneur or entrepreneur, depending on the situation you find yourself in, it becomes difficult if you want to have an open kind of relationship that you're talking about in the office. Like for example, in my office, we are just three: the CEO, the vice president, and then another staff. We're all in the same space, and so we're trying as much as possible to make the staff feel free. But it seems because of the socialization, it becomes very difficult. And then you realize that a call comes in, and then the person wants to get up, like excuse you or something. Yeah, it's an office. It's not like it's not just a cell phone call or something. So how do you try to, I don't know if it's unsocialize or reorient yourself or your staff to feel at home and then have that kind of mentality? How do you do that?
I still have people in my office who call me Mrs. Asamoah. Some call some of our colleagues and every time I hear Auntie something, like, okay, we're not in secondary school here, this is not home. So you call me Petra and you call somebody else Auntie something. And I think it's definitely the socialization part. It's the leader's responsibility to try and get the followers at the point where you feel like they're free. And I use, forgive me if you're not religious, I use Jesus as an example. When the Bible talks about him and his disciples, he always said he was in their midst, they were together, they were eating, they were doing everything. He never said anything about Jesus was there and had a bodyguard. And the disciples had to go through the personal assistant to see him. And when Peter's mother was sick, he went to baby John and said, oh, can I see the master? He just went and told him whatever he wanted to tell him. So I feel that type of leadership where you're open, gradually the people catch on to it. But it's a process. So they'll get there. My husband has a team, he runs a business as well. And one of our biggest ideas now was trying to put in certain structures. So finance must be done in a particular way. You do a payment voucher, you don't just come and then boss signs a check and go and cash the money. It must be done in a particular way. We're building structures. And the finance guy keeps telling the consultant that we've outsourced it to somebody else who has more skill than him. He keeps saying that, oh, I'm afraid if I go to boss to sign the payment voucher and ask him why is he taking the money, will he say no? If he says no, what will I say? And we just keep, and the first time that we got the feedback going, we just burst out into laughter. We're laughing because we're thinking that this is the business we're trying to grow, we're building a structure, and you're afraid that you're going to get fired if you ask questions. But that's how it's been worked. That's how he knows it's been done. That you don't ask if your director comes and says, give me 1,000 seats, you just take the money from the drawer and give it to him.
The business is yours, so all money that comes to it is yours.
And that's
not asking for money. I don't need to ask for questions.
Why? Yeah. And that's another fundamental problem where employees don't see the businesses as our business, but it's the owner's business. The owner also enforces the fact that this is my business, so you can't come and tell me what to do. So So it runs both ways. But I feel the onus lies more on the leader to get people into that. But it's tough in Ghana. And then the issue of, sorry, Joshua, where do you draw the line? Where you become very friendly and then everybody's open and the one you want to staff that something really to overstep the boundaries of, okay, so I gave you that much access and then now you think you can just like talk to me anyhow or be anyhow. So there's also that balance that you have to meet. Sometimes people start off like, okay, so call me by my first name, and then I had a situation where an intern called me and says, yes, so Petra, she told me to justify something and how she spoke over the phone. Hello, like it's almost as if she just forgot that this is another individual who possibly is like my boss's boss or something, and she just threw everything, but she felt like putting us over. They're all buddy. So there are instances where you have to now say, okay, to you, Mrs. Asamoah. Or if you're going to speak to me this way, then you're not going to call me by my first name. So there are times like that where you have to just, because some individuals don't get it.
That you can be friendly without being disrespectful.
Exactly. And then they assume that because you're friendly with them, they don't have to go by the rules, they can do whatever they want, they can come in when they want. So you always have to balance it. So it also tends to be that the people who are closest to you are the ones who get more fire. So like one colleague that I really need, the closest one, she's always in trouble somewhere. You may know her, I've spoken about her before, like Jackie. She does all my events and everything. And she gets it. She sits right opposite from me, but because she's the closest, she's the one I interact with and I laugh with and everything. She gets the first fire every time. So yeah, yes, that as well.
I was going to go back to somebody I also know, Professor Wilson. He starts off with you as Bob. And if you've ever gone through him, you know him as Bob and know him as Robert. And because he does that, he gets himself thrown to you in a very informal way and make sure that there are boundaries within the informality. So you can relate to him as buddy if you know him. So you can do anything with Bob, but there is a bit of the power this time that he makes sure.
A bit?
He makes sure that it's that thing is present. So you can call her, you can go to him, but you know that he's Bob, but he's not Professor. So you need to know how to gauge the relationship, but he didn't throw himself to you that like I'm all this. So you also need to be able to read and know the temperament of the individual.
And I have a personal story where I overstepped my boundary with the leader and it was not very good. So he corrected me and I made a joke out of it. And so this was it. Let me just say the whole story. I usually didn't go for lunch. And one time I went for lunch, I took more than an hour. And just that one time, he brought it up and said, where have you been? You've been gone for more than an hour. And I'm like, okay, I don't go for lunch every day. And I went one time. And my boyfriend came and took me out one time. And I took more than an hour of being in. So the next day, I sent an email when I was going for lunch. And I said, oh, I'm going for lunch. I'll be back in an hour. And I started counting the minutes. And to me, and with the benefit of hindsight, it was disrespectful because he had done that because he wanted to correct me. And now I was poking fun at it. And it was bad. So he sent me a long email about how if you do this, I'm not going to correct you. And I'm like, okay, let me just check myself. So yeah, there are times where we need to know that, so as much as nobody with a boss, we still make sure that there are basic things like not getting into certain conversations with them. Like someone asked a colleague's wife, oh, you're pregnant. He's like, okay, so what's your business name? swallowed the rest of his words. Like it was just a very big. I'm like, yeah, so you don't ask that question. Because she's smiling with you and she's your colleague's wife and she comes around, doesn't mean that you must step. Right? So it's a comment, question. Let's talk about people with opportunities. We are women in tech. Some people are starting businesses in tech. Like we see their problems, we identify them, we are chasing these opportunities. So obviously we have that, but sometimes similar to your scenario, it's a challenge to, I will have some stories, but even business, it's a challenge to pursue that opportunity. Like, what do you have to say about that? So this is a situation where it's also a lab organization where people let's say you have even for me, my organization, the issues are where I am now is politics, that is the problem. So it's flat. I can go to my CEO, that's no issue. But sometimes there are certain decisions that are taken somewhere and you can see the problem. I can talk about it, I can describe it. But the decision is here, then there's politics has to do. How do I go about doing that in region? Because there are other things that will play against you. And I think besides who you talk to, inside and what clique are you in? Exactly. Thankfully, I don't have any of that. But yeah, office politics is a big issue. And my biggest advice is try and be neutral. Like try not to be
conversations, you pretend as if you haven't heard what is going on. In some conversations, people have to actually mention my name and go like, so what do you tell them? What are you talking about? Yes. So because it's long, you can't start from the beginning in order for me to be my opinion. So you know that I am not interested.
Yeah. You have to be neutral.
Oh, even if I'm
as long as they put you in a situation where you're now on some side, and maybe that side is the side where exactly, or the power is not, try to be neutral. One of the principles I have is in the office, whatever I say behind you, I will master the courage to say it in front of you. That's good. Whether it's good or bad, you have to say what you're saying. Yeah. Because there are times where you complain about your colleague or complain to somebody else, and then you're like, okay, I just said all these things about Joshua. If Joshua hears it, what's he going to think about me? So I find a way to go and tell Joshua before he hears it from my grapevine. That this and this and this is what the challenge is, and this is what he did and I don't like it, or this is what he's doing I don't like. So it puts a check on me as well to stop running my mouth. If I know that what I'm telling this other person, I can't tell Joshua in his face. I'll just swallow it. So that also helps. And it manages the relationships as well. It's not like you're pretending. You don't have to like the people you work with, but you have to be cordial with them. And then truly, sometimes you have to endure them. There's some people like, oh, I don't want to be in the same space with this person, and they're always screaming at me or something. But you have to find a way to work with them. And the reason is that the institution becomes bigger than the individual. I don't like you, I don't like how you talk, I don't like what you wear, all of those things. More, what are we doing to get that to make this business? Okay, so let's turn into that. Because, okay, this particular scenario I'm just thinking about right now is I feel like I take this side and I'm comfortable with this side but it spells to me, I think this is something now they're fighting. They're trying to get that enough
that space, I just walk from the I need to take that side. And what will happen is I need to do that. Because I think it's the best.
I agree that when it comes to the business decision and taking sides, it's important. Where I find that you shouldn't take sides, where it comes about personalities. So Joshua is the MD and then is the deputy MD, and like, okay, so if I like Joshua and then I tell him stuff about what some other people are doing, those kind of things is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Trying to gain favor and then gain opportunity. But when it comes to issues of this is a business decision. It's not about I don't like you, I don't like what you're saying. I just don't like the direction in which you're taking the business. It's fine. It's fine to have a stance. And I have a challenge most times where when I believe in something, I really believe in it. And I will say it, and even when it's successful, I'll still say it. And say, I'm really sorry if it sounds like I'm being blunt or being too direct, but this is really what I think. And what you're doing will help us. You don't end up as somebody who is liked too much. But I've also realized that you don't really have to be liked all the time to get things done. So, yeah.
So I'll say, on the reverse side, we're talking about taking opportunities. How about you have all the opportunities? How do you prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed? I don't think so. Like, for example, in the workplace, you have the opportunity to maybe not exposing yourself to the computer and the internet. So you have an employee and have internet access like 25 feet. And it's fast, it's good. And then you have the opportunity of meeting people from different cultural backgrounds. You have the opportunity of going places. How do you handle all that as an organization? You don't become overwhelmed. And then matching it up with your personality. Maybe you are not one outgoing person. You don't want to just how do you take those opportunities, one, and make use of them looking at the kind of personality you have and not being overwhelmed?
So if I said I was an introvert, would you believe?
Yeah.
So I'm an extroverted introvert, what I say. I'm very choleric, but my choleric is not to be out and about and talking to people and meeting everybody. But the opportunities of my work and the exposure of it and the path that I'm taking opens me up to having to adjust. So there are times when every day of the week, or maybe like 3 times in the week, I have an event. I have to meet people. I have to smile a lot. And I have to be up in business time and meet people. And then by the end of the week, I crash. I'm really, and if you're an introvert in a sales role, you understand me. You get the point that, oh, I really want to smile today. Like, I'm tired, my smile is finished. But you have to get to the point where you realize that, so this is one of the things I did, and what I was saying was like, really think about what are your strengths and weaknesses. One of the things I realized was if I allowed my natural personality to move, I would never succeed in business. So my regular best day is lie down in my bed and read my book. And if you gave me, and that's why I said it the first time. If you gave me the choice of what I want to do in the evening, I won't choose going to a party or going to meet people. But I have to do it because of my work. I have to do it because of what I want to be able to achieve. The fact that I think that there are lots of things that I want to talk about and people have to hear. So if I'm going to sit in my bed and just I could write a book and sell the book, but how many people buy the book if they've never heard of Petra? You know, so there's that. So I feel that yes, your personality comes in how do you not suppress your personality, but how do you enhance it as well? And then how do you use those opportunities the best way? So if, for instance, you're in a sales role and networking is like number one in the thing you have to master, you decide that, okay, I can do 3 networking events every week and meet maybe an average of 5 people, and then build those 5 people and make sure that I know them, calling them, I possibly get some 1 or 2 sales made from them. And then on the introvert side, I don't want to do anything. I can say, okay, maybe if I don't want to go and do the event, can I send an email? Can I do a phone call? One of the biggest walls now is WhatsApp. So instead of calling people, we're texting them, and texting them, and texting them, and we're texting them for 30 minutes, we could have spoken to them for 1 minute. So when you're open to so many things that you can do, and it's either becoming overwhelming, like you're meeting all these people, you have all these meetings, and you have all these things you have to do. I think the first thing is just prioritize and getting to know that what's the most important thing I need to do. So this week I have women in tech. I have one other meeting as well. I have something fantastic. How am I going to manage all of these things to put all of my work together? I make sure that I'm at my best and still ensure that I'm a proper Delta General Manager. 5 days, 8 days in a week. Okay, so it's deciding that what's the most important and just working on it. Yeah, but sometimes too much opportunity can also choke you when you don't know what to choose, what to do. Everybody's calling you, you're very good, I want to hire you. You're here for 1 year, then you're gone again for another year, and you're like, that's not a bad thing for you, though. That's the business. More personal business than all that. Don't worry.
I came here to smile.
We all introduce ourselves before we make our friends.
Oh.
Because we're close.
Personal words.
Yeah. So we don't want you to feel better.
Don't worry, we don't.
We'll be interested in knowing you. Not just so name and interesting facts. Yeah. About yourself. I'll make some up.
My name is Petra. I'm very interested. Graphic designers. My name is interesting facts.
That's an interesting fact, especially on campus.
Oh, something unique about me.
Okay, so my name is Asamoah. I am a software developer, and interesting fact, I work 2 jobs. One with nothing about.
What is interesting about that one?
Well, I just work weird hours because my other team is really well, so I come to work late, but I have to be late. That's interesting.
You're working in 2 time zones.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. I'm actually like following a script right now because I just came back. It's 5 hours and yeah. And it's about I'm waking up to bed. So that's really interesting.
Okay, I'm Nakai and I'm still thinking about that interesting things when I come up with something.
That's an interesting one. Nice to meet you, Naka. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I couldn't read it. I'm Elena Afro. I'm a network engineer. I don't know whether this is an interesting, but I can be extremely quiet. People think I have a problem with them.
Okay. I think basic people are usually like very introverted. Yeah, I'm controlling myself.
Yeah, that's so funny. It's cheap for the Okay, so I think it's almost half class.
Oh yeah, so I'm gonna tell you about that. So my sales one there's my profile, my personal profile, and then my page. It's the same name. I use two different images to make it very clear, but if you do Petra Asamoah, you find request friendship, and then you see the name of the business person page. And what we do on Friday evenings from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. every Friday is we discuss something related to sales. So we are in our 13th week, so we do it every Friday. And what I basically do is, right now we're discussing the 10 qualities of a successful salesperson. And we've done 3. We've talked about charisma, we've talked about discipline, and then drive. And then Friday we talk about the 4th one. We're going to do that when we get to 10, and then we'll change, possibly after Christmas, we'll change the topic. But it's an online discussion, and I will post like the main issue with some of my thoughts, and then everybody else who is available will send what it is. And then I convert that into an article on my blog for maybe the following week or the week after. So the blog launched on the 27th of October. There's 6 or so articles there already that you can read and you can share and you can tell me what you think about. I write basically, there's a lifestyle column, there's a faith column, and there's a business column. So under the business is where all the sales one-on-one stuff will be. And it's free. Except you always come to the office and do it. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, and really thanks for speaking to us. It's been a pleasure having you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
I think it's not just next one, just let's get to know each other. Someone has been also quiet since we came, so let's try and get to know each other and see what businesses we can build out of these events. Because basically that is one of the ways we start to these meetups. So we have some snacks served. We'll start from there. Yeah. We'll start with the we have like a monthly meetup. It will be the same time once a month. Yes, it will be a day.
Yeah, from here.
Thursday.
No, that side.
I am not taking
But you said that, that's what I was meaning.
I am not taking lessons. I have no idea about technology. That's what you and I are just the same thing. So for those forums, the goal is to have a feature that we talk about. We're going to talk about setting up business, we talk about systems, we talk about graphic design, or software development, or we can teach you a programming language and an app. But it's just a short video just to get our thoughts on it and what's in the series today. So we can build up. Well, hopefully that's perfect.
Thank you very much.